Christensen. And then also to my right is Lacey Digraph with the McMinnville Economic Development Partnership. And it's their job with others to try to bring jobs and help spur on the economy here, the economic engine here in Yamhill County. And first of all, Jody, we'll hand you the microphone. Welcome to KLYC.
Thank you.
Our video presentation, this is a KLYC town hall. Obviously, the town hall tonight consists of 3 people.
Okay.
But we also like to talk about issues affecting McMinnville and Yamhill County. One of those is the economy and jobs, vital to economic growth in their community and the quality of life. 1,500 jobs in 15 years. When I first read the newspaper, I realized it was probably a mistake, and it was probably 1,500 jobs. The News Register, we love you guys, and I hate to keep poking fun at you, and you'll have the opportunity, I'm sure, sometime to poke at me. But even 1,500 jobs in 15 years, how do you come up with that number?
Well, to be quite frank, it was an opportunity for the board of directors. We get together every year and review our current strategies, and one of our board members encouraged me to be aspirational. And so we thought in our office that we would give food for thought to our board, and one of the things we said is, let's put a marker in the sand. Let's decide a future point and then be aspirational about what we want to obtain by then. And we know that in 2032, McMinnville will be celebrating its 150th birthday as a city. And a sesquicentennial is a fantastic opportunity for a city to reflect on its legacy and its history and the pieces and parts that have come together to make the fabric of the community. And so we landed on a time, and then we thought, that's 15 years from now. What would be an aspirational goal for this organization? How could we partner with others to do something that would be very momentous at our 150th? So we thought 1,500 jobs in 15 years. Now that may seem, just in a sentence, a very, oh my goodness, how are they going to get there? But that's
the obvious question.
Right, but when you break it down, 1,500 in 15 years, that's 100 jobs a year.
Okay.
We didn't say that every job would be new to the community, a new company investing in and creating the jobs brand new. We said that there would be 1,500 jobs in the advanced manufacturing, tech sector. Those are family wage jobs, and those could be expansion jobs. So those could be an expansion of an existing company.
So it is a realistic goal, you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, when we left the retreat, the time with our board, we said, we can do this. And Heather Richards, who's our planning director for the city, went back and crunched some numbers and validated that that was an actual number that we could achieve based on growth and capacity over the next 15 years.
Based on past growth, recent growth?
Mm-hmm. And projected growth for the community. So we feel very comfortable and very confident. We have our elected officials on board with that goal. They're currently mulling over, what does that mean? What do we need to put in place to create an environment that creates and fosters those types of jobs?
That brings up a lot of questions.
It does.
First of all, the question is, where are these jobs coming from? Are they manufacturing? Are they technology? Both? Other?
Both. So we're primarily focused on, for lack of a better term, manufacturing, but we're focused on a group of companies that are what we would call growth companies. So companies that have advanced technology within their process, within their system, that are thinking innovatively about how to create products and how to grow new markets. So that's technology within what you might consider traditional manufacturing. So technology in a company like Cascade Steel, moving from sort of hand paper types of work and process, is moving to computer processing and computer management and different kinds of robotics and different kinds of technology to do their rebar. So those are advanced jobs. Those are jobs that are going to take higher skills. They'll likely have higher wages. That would be true of maggot polymers and composites, solid form fabrication, Freeland Wade. So those companies that are already manufacturing products in our community are going to be advancing because the reality is the robotics are going to become more and more integrated into manufacturing. And to be able to run a robot, you have to be skilled. You have to be a person who can fix problems and maintain equipment. You have to be somebody who understands computers and IT and understands that you're programming something and how do you deal with issues that come up. So there's a lot more skill involved in manufacturing. So we're really focused on helping companies grow and foster those kinds of jobs.
So the job growth is also going to come from existing companies as they essentially retool their workforce to bring in more high-tech people. So instead of the millwright turning the knob, there's going to be a computer technician that's looking at the computer screen and making the adjustments there.
Or maybe a millwright, a current person who's on staff, who's being they're going to pay for training or increase their skills through other ways, and that person would likely be elevated in their pay as well.
Housing in the McMinnville area.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
So as we talk about 1,500 new jobs in the McMinnville area, one of the things we like to talk about, if it's on the street, it's on the air. As you just walk around town and talk to folks, there is a shortage of housing, and the housing is increasing. I've heard people on the street talk about being number 15 on a waiting list.
Right.
So that's an issue.
We're in a tight market right now, and it's sort of the perfect storm. We come out of a trying economic time. There hasn't been a lot of inventory built. There haven't been developments in housing, and now there's a confidence in the market. People have the ability to buy houses, and there aren't any. Those that come on the market are going quickly. We're aware of that. We also have a city council that's aware of that. We have developers that are aware of that, planning department. So there are people who are really being aggressive on how we can start to grow the housing inventory. What kinds of things do we need to, incentives, if you will, that we need to put in place to encourage development?
What kinds of incentives are we talking about? Looking at maybe regulations, maybe softening those a little bit?
I think when I speak of incentives, I tend to think of the ability to get quicker to the product. So I would imagine that there's some process improvements that are happening in the planning department. So streamlining applications when they come through, assessing where there might be issues and getting to those quicker in the planning process. I think that the one thing that I believe about our city is that it is fiscally responsible, and it's been very thoughtful in what you might call traditional incentives, tax abatements and sort of forgiveness on system development charges. They've been conservative in that, and I will be frank. I believe that's the right thing because it is fair and equitable to developers. That not one gets something that another doesn't. But I think what the city of McMinnville offers that I'm hearing around other communities that isn't necessarily the case is the city of McMinnville offers a one-stop application process that allows a developer to come in, sit down, and be around a table with everybody they need to talk to about their development. So it's a pre-app meeting. There's no charge for it. It's scheduled with the city. It can be done fairly quickly. So a developer can get to answers, discover where there might be issues, and problem solve very quickly in the process. I think that's an incentive for a developer. Delaying a project means money. Right? You don't want to delay. So if we can get people quicker to the process and turning dirt and getting the buildings up, that's good.
We talked about in your office just before we went on the air an example of a company that has recently relocated at least part of their operation to McMinnville. Mm-hmm. It's a software development company. Mm-hmm. Very interesting story here and how the reasons they've selected to come to McMinnville and what they're doing here. Can you mention the name of the company and then what's happening?
Sure. Lacey, would you be comfortable
Lacey
talking?
Digraph?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lacey knows this company well.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I recently spoke to Brian, who works with Predicta, and he's the person who really kind of led the charge to get parts of their company to move up to McMinnville.
So Predicta is the company. And
yes.
What do they do?
They use artificial intelligence, so AI, to kind of give brands a better picture of what's being said about them on the internet. So they compile every piece of information, every article, every social media post, anything that's said about a brand on the internet, and they compile all that information and use AI to let people kind of see what that actually means to the brand.
So we have an artificial intelligence company, at least partly located in McMinnville. Mm-hmm. We're going into the 21st century here. Okay.
It's an artificial intelligence sighting on 3rd Street, so we say.
Okay.
Yeah. So their sales...
So great for the UFO Festival.
Exactly,
right.
Which is part of the reason they came here.
Okay.
So their sales division and marketing, as well as customer relations division, are all up on 3rd Street currently. They're still hiring for new positions, and so it's just been a really great transition. They moved here from the San Francisco Bay Area because the cost of living is so much lower in McMinnville than it is in San Francisco. It's the most expensive place to live in America right now is San Francisco. And as Brian said, all you really need for this is smart people who are willing to learn, and we have that in McMinnville. According to him, there's nothing in McMinnville, or there's nothing that's not in McMinnville that you would need to have a good life. It's great livability. The cost of living is really low. He can hire someone with $100,000 less, and they can buy a house versus living in San Francisco.
So we can save, just round numbers here, he could save $100,000 per year per employee by having them live and work in McMinnville to San Francisco.
Yes, exactly.
So if you have 5 people, that's $500,000.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's part of the reason he moved up here, as well as he really likes Linfield's math program. He thinks that there could be a really good partnership there. Obviously, AI is complicated technology, so
Sure.
Yeah, he wants to do a partnership with Linfield's math department. And he just loves the area. He's originally from Alaska, but he lives in McMinnville part-time, and they fell in love with the area. And so to convince his partners that they should move up here, he kept bringing them wine from the area and said, this is what Willamette Valley is all about, and we should move up here.
Get them drunk and they'll come up here, right?
Oh, we didn't say that.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
How many workers are we talking about? These are family wage jobs.
Right now he's looking at hiring around 30 people. So he's still in the process of doing that. He's involved in a lot of different things, so he's around. But yeah, I know they have at least one employee already. They started hiring in January. We should probably check up on those numbers. Yeah. But yeah, so they're looking to hire 30 within the year.
How did the dialogue begin? Did he approach you? Did you approach him? And then how do you, there's a slang term in the industry, I don't know if it pertains to your industry, about headhunters, where you're actually going out looking for either qualified individuals and stealing them from another company, or going out looking for companies that are looking to locate to other cities and bringing them here.
Well, in the case of Brian, I have known him for a number of years. He came to McMinnville through a different business venture, and he was looking for a location. So he was kind of stealthy at the time, if you will. He wouldn't tell me much about the company. He told me the needs of the company. And so we respect confidentiality, and I just needed to know what he was looking for. So we were able to give him a number of sites. And he located that company under the radar. So we just kept in touch. And then when the project with Predicta came up, he really decided to move that team here from the San Francisco area. So he already knew he wanted to make that decision to have the team here. He approached our office about helping find talent. And so he wanted to connect primarily into our internship program, and wanted us to help market the opportunity. So he was just a lone person up here and really needed to get the word out. So we spent quite a bit of time talking with our partners in the community. We started putting the word out on the street, and then we started getting formal about it with connecting with the press and starting to get stories in the universe so that people know he's here.
Predicta, and they've been here for how long? When did they arrive?
I think he's been doing this work for about 8 months, so it's a startup technology. So I believe it was last August they launched their beta. It was extremely successful. He had a number of well-known Fortune 500 companies very interested in the product. And that's when they knew this was a live one. This is one that they could really take to the next level, and that's when they made the commitment to have their client management team here.
How many Predicta type companies do you win, earn, convince to come to McMinnville, say, on an annual basis?
And that's very interesting.
If I'm sure it varies year to year.
So our job in our office is to work with companies that are interested in McMinnville, and that's the long game. That's the hard part of economic development, because there are a number of compelling factors that help a company decide if they want to be someplace. So we've been successful in working with companies, but it's a team sport. We did work with Kendall Jackson when they were looking for a site about 3.5 years ago prior to purchasing the site out on Evergreen. We did tour sites that didn't meet their needs, and they sort of went away. But they came back. So if you look at that, it was a 4-year project that happened kind of overnight on Highway 18 because the stars lined up for them. So our sweet spot in McMinnville tends to be companies that are coming here for reasons other than a building or a piece of land. They're making a decision, kind of, if you will, based on a triple bottom line. They want their company to be profitable, so they want to be in a community where they can thrive. And they want to be in a place where they can attract talent. And these companies also tend to want to be involved in a community. So they don't want to just come in and sort of not be here. They really want to be engaged. So when those things line up in a decision maker's mind, McMinnville is very compelling. So we've worked with a number of companies that have located here, but more importantly, I think, are the companies that have stayed in McMinnville that we were at risk of losing. And to me, those are relationships that we established with companies, and there was a decision point where they had to make a decision. We're either staying or we're going.
Can you share some examples without betraying confidence?
Sure. So we've talked about this. Betty Lou, her company was in what is now the Granary District, in multiple buildings. Her company grew from 1 building to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. They were not connected. They were not designed for a food manufacturer. They were cumbersome. And she got a very large contract in 2008 to deliver a certain type of bar that required her to get a certain type of equipment, that required her to be in a certain type of building. And she wasn't in that building. So she started looking with a realtor outside of McMinnville, because she knew at that time, even in 2008, we didn't have a lot of buildings on the market. She couldn't find anything. And when I walked into the meeting, and there's a realtor and a banker and her team, and they're talking about this bar machine coming in and where they're looking in Portland, we're on red alert. It was everything I could do to not just cry, like, you've got to be kidding me. You're leaving McMinnville. This can't happen. So I asked the question. I said, if we want you to stay, have you found a building? Do you think there's a building here that would work for you? And she goes, there's the perfect building for us, but it's not on the market. I said, what's the building? And it was the Skyline RV facility. Well, they had just shut that building down, and the owners of that facility said, we're just going to shutter it. We're just going to make some decisions later, down the road. So it wasn't on the market. It wasn't for sale. And she said, that building would be ideal for me, because it's open, it's wide, it's everything I want, and I can grow. I can grow there. I thought, okay, what am I going to do? So I called Tom Fox, who at that time was our business development officer. I refer to Tom as my sensei. And I said, Tom, we're going to play good cop, bad cop. And he said, great, which one am I? And I said, you get to be bad cop. I get to be good cop. And I have the direct line to the HR director for this company, who I dealt with when the company shut down. I have his direct line, and we're going to start calling him. And we're going to find out if we can get Betty Lou in that building to even look at it, to see if they're interested. So I called and I said, listen, what are you thinking about doing with the building? He's going, we're not selling it. I said, are you sure? There might be somebody interested. Nope, not selling it. Tom called right and said, listen, you got to sell that building. You can't leave that building just sitting there empty. What are you thinking about? There might be somebody interested in that. He's going, we're not selling. Well, we just kept doing that for a few days. And then finally I got a call from a realtor and said, did somebody want to look at the building? Because they want to show the building. Wow. And we're like, excellent. Well, and I always tell the story. Now, it's not literally true, but I'm pretty sure when I hung up the phone talking to Betty Lou that her team was scaling the walls of that building to get in and take a look because she knew it was perfect. So we sometimes can be the burr under the saddle. In that story, it was us just not giving up, just being diligent that we were going to try to get her in that building. It's the same tactic that we had with TTR. So TTR is a tax transaction resource company, software designer again. It's a subscription-based tax software. They're located in a very unassuming building on 3rd Street. Okay. They have 60-some employees. I started talking with them. They said, we've outgrown our facility. There's no parking here. We need to expand. We can't expand. And we want to be on 3rd Street. Well, there's limited inventory on 3rd Street, but we kept the conversation going with them. They brought in a realtor who was encouraging them to look in another community. We became aware of that. We did not end the conversation, so we just kept, I was putting a lot of things in front of them that probably in other circumstances I shouldn't have, but I was just, have you looked at this building? Have you looked at this building? Have you looked at this lot? And I was just kind of drawing it out, hoping that I could keep enough interest until something came on the market or some compelling argument changed around staying on 3rd Street, because that was going to be a difficult delivery for them. We don't have that kind of inventory on 3rd Street. So they had looked at a facility out on the former Evergreen campus a number of months ago, and for whatever reason had decided that wasn't where they wanted to be. They really wanted to be on 3rd Street. Well, they came around, and they now are in that building. They own it. They've completely gutted it. They're planning to move in, I think, in the fall, and they're planning to double their staff in the next 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
So when I talk about 100 jobs a year, we're almost there with 2 companies. So I think my hope is that the community celebrates, gets on board, continues to support this effort because it's achievable. It is achievable.
Let's talk about inventory. We mentioned it a couple times in our stories. What does the inventory look like out there in McMinnville, in land and buildings? It's not very good right now, is it?
Right. So we're very tight on buildings. We're very tight on buildings. Very tight on buildings. So there's a few little spaces that are available. I'm primarily talking about light industrial properties, so those for manufacturers. We have very light inventory. The property that's left out on the former Evergreen campus, the building with the F-15 is still on the market, and that is considered light industrial.
The building with the F-15 in front of it?
Yes, in front of it, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What did I say, behind it?
No, that's fine.
Okay, in front of it. Yeah, so that building is still on the market. They're still showing it. It has some... that is a fantastic facility because you have full access to the airport. It's beautiful inside. It could definitely be an office. Some sort of software design company would be fantastic in there because it's big open spaces, lots of natural light, beautiful wood. It's beautifully appointed, that facility. So I talk about that one a lot because there's not much else left on the market. So right now, though, what we're seeing is over the last few months, vacant lots are starting to sell in the industrial park. That's new. That's a new turn of events. So that means there's confidence that people are actually willing to develop property.
Spec property?
No, these are actually for use, end use. Mm-hmm.
Really? Mm-hmm. Existing companies here in McMinnville or people from outside coming in?
Outside. And I can't really
I was waiting for that answer.
I can't really talk about it. I can tell you
Manufacturing? Okay.
So I suspect that one of the projects would probably be between 30 to 40 people. It's a expansion of a well-known, established company, and if all the stars line up, they'll be breaking ground on a new facility.
Next question, as far as availability, where are they going to live?
You keep coming back to housing.
I'm asking some tough questions tonight. Sorry.
Well, where are they going to live?
Talked about the cities around us.
The cities around
Yeah.
us.
So
Let's talk about that. So when this kind of thing happens, and you have a company that comes to you and say, "Hey, I want to buy a building and look at a piece of land, and I'm going to put 100 people to work. Will they have a place to live?" Then do we work with neighboring communities to say, "Hey, what kind of housing inventory you got?" Because we want to bring these people here, and even if that job was not in, let's say, Willamina or Carlton or someplace like that, if those people can live in those communities, then they've got a house that's sold or bought or rented, and they benefit as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's that kind of cooperation going on.
We want there to be that type of cooperation going on.
Hint? I was just underlying that is.
Yeah.
I think for us and what we've talked a lot. So Lacey's expertise is really looking and crafting stories that talk about a community, and we talk about the community of McMinnville, but really we're a community as a county, and we can have shared responsibility and assets that help reinforce and support positive economic growth. The reality is not everybody who works in McMinnville lives in McMinnville. Not everybody who lives in Sheridan works in Sheridan, but we share a work shed. So I'll give you an example. Sheridan, Forest River, one of the nation's top RV producers, purchased 25 acres with 2 buildings, 100,000 square feet of buildings.
That was in the last 6 months, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. They're going to employ 300 people. 300 people are likely going to move into this region to work at that facility. So Sheridan's a great community. They've got lots of great things happening. It's a very positive environment. They only have so many houses on the market. So people are going to start looking at other communities, just like if, Mega Polymers and Composites, hires people, they might not live in McMinnville. So we have shared community assets, if you will. It would be great if we could formalize those relationships. It would be great if we could have a cohesive plan and message and marketing. I mean, that's the one thing that we really believe in, is that when you talk about your community, you have to have your story. It has to be authentic, it has to be real, and it has to connect with people. So you need certain pillars, you need certain platforms to be able to build that story. So having a comprehensive a comprehensive message for businesses would be really great. It would be really great.
I'm sorry to keep harping on this issue.
We're going back to the housing, are we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right.
And there's obviously a push from cities, builders, so on and so forth, to say we need more homes because we have people, our housing inventory isn't large enough. Mm-hmm. Have we lost any businesses, significant businesses, or industries wanting to come to town that say, I can't come there because there's no place for my people to live? Have we lost any of those businesses yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. So for businesses, it's cost of doing business and cost of labor and access to labor.
Right.
So the housing is a challenge, but not their challenge. That's going to be an employee's challenge. So they're talking about people when we talk to companies. So right now we're in a pretty aggressive recruitment mode within our office. So we're talking to a lot of companies outside Oregon and outside the United States about their interest in expanding into potentially Oregon, and then we're telling the story about McMinnville. They're talking about labor. They're talking about finding people.
Do we have a labor force, an unemployed labor force here ready to go to work, or is the unemployment rate so low that people are going to have to come in here to fill these new jobs?
Our unemployment rate is so low. So low. So I think we're at 4.2.
I think it was 3.8 last time.
Okay, so 3.8. 3.8. This isn't, I don't mean this in any way to be derogatory, but at 3.8, you're basically at zero. There's significant challenges for people who are now still looking for work. They have some barriers. They have things they need to work on. Now they'll get to employability, but they're not ready now for whatever reason. And I no way mean to, demean their situation, but that's the reality. That's the reality. So when companies talk about how do we access talent, how do we find people, one of the things that we talk about is our internship program. Now, in the scheme of things, it's a fairly small program. But what it does on a bigger scale is it tells someone how our community is dealing with the issue. We're helping companies find people. We're creating a pool and a network of people that are ready to work, either when they graduate or now. And so that is a great selling point. Even if they don't plug into the internship program, it shows that our community is trying to address the problem.
Speaking of the internship program, there was a Chamber of Commerce Friday morning greeters out in the industrial park, and it was over by where the old radio station building was. I can't remember the name.
Is it Amerson?
No, it wasn't Amerson. It was another one close by, about just down the street. Solid Form?
Was it Solid Form Fabrication?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
What impressed me was the number of interns. There must have been 60, 70 interns at this event. There was a lot of young, am I too far off on the number? There was a lot of young people. I was surprised at the number of interns that were actively involved.
Oh, when you interviewed us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So when we did the interview, there was 20 interns there. Yes. Because I was in the internship program.
Well, there was more than 20. There was maybe I'm on the wrong.
There was 20. We had 20 involved last year. So yeah, you interviewed 20 of us.
Great program.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were very large personalities and did great things. They might have seemed like more because they were so impressive.
Let's talk about the Evergreen campus. Is there still just one building left?
Yes, just one building's
The
on
one
the
with the
market.
big jet in front of it.
All are under new ownership.
Okay. As far as what can people do in the McMinnville area to help you bring more jobs and more businesses to town?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say the number one thing that they could do that would be really helpful is visit our website and see what MEDP does. So www.mcminnvillebusiness.com. And take a look at the types of programs and resources that we can provide to a company. So everything from access to grants, loans, business planning. We have access to programs through the state. We're developing a very large and I would say aggressive portfolio of all the inventory that's currently on the market of properties and sites. We are really designed as a one-stop business development center. So a lot of times people think we're real estate, which we're not. They think we write business plans, which we don't. They think that we own property. No, we don't do any of that. What we do is we connect people to solutions. So if a company has an issue, or if they want to know about McMinnville, or they want to know how they navigate development in McMinnville, we can be the sleuths for them. We know
can
how.
be the good cop, bad cop.
Well, not for a company coming to town. I'll always be a good cop. But yeah.
So you're a facilitator.
We're a facilitator, and we're also a connector. So I'll give you an example. This is a small example. So I got a call from a woman yesterday. She said, I want to produce a product in my home and sell it on Etsy. And can you help me figure out how to do that? Well, there's some things that she needs to do so that she's a legitimate business and that she can run her business well. So what I did is I introduced her to Bill Taylor with SCORE. He's a business advisor. He's very good at what he does, and he can help a company for as long as they need, specifically a company like that, in answering all those technical questions. How do I register with the state? When do I need to get my home occupation permit? What does it look like? So he can walk with her through that process. So that's someone who otherwise would have had to spend a lot of time navigating the internet to try to figure out and maybe not get her answer and become discouraged. The other thing that we're doing is something like we're encouraging companies to look at a program called Virtual Incubation Program, and this is out of the Oregon Technology Business Center. What we've done is we've tapped a few companies that we've been working with, primarily startups who are growth companies. They have potential of producing a product or service that can be sold out of our community, and we're introducing them to this idea that they can be part of a virtual incubation program.
And what exactly is that?
So normally an incubation center would be a physical location, and you'd be co-located with a number of people, and you'd share services. But you'd have the cost of a building, and you'd have a cost of, printing and all those things in an office-type setting. Virtual is it's in the cloud. So all the classes are online, all the support that you get, sort of the technical support's online, and then you get one-on-one coaching in a live online session with an expert. So it's a pretty incredible program, and right now they are starting a cohort this month, then they're going to start another one in August. But for a company that is kicking the tires, they're not quite sure, they've got a great idea, they know they can take it to the next level, they could spend a lot of time and energy trying to figure it out, or they can enroll in a program like like VIP, the Virtual Incubation Program, and have an expert who's not only knows the kinds of questions and how to answer them, who has started a number of businesses. So he's a serial entrepreneur who's doing this program. So he can bring all of that, what I would say better than the positive things, the things that don't work. So don't waste your time on that. You need to go down this direction. Have you tried this? Okay, no, I'm pulling you back. You got to go that way. That's going to get you. Hey, I've got somebody to introduce you to. So he's going to do a lot of hand-holding where our office we don't have the bandwidth to do something like that. But we have the ability to find experts who can do that. So those are the kinds of programs and those are the kinds of services that we're trying to find and matchmake, if you will, with our businesses at whatever stage they are.
Or do they have a website, or what's the contact?
Right, so I believe it's OTBC, but I think if you Google Oregon Technology Business Center, you will find them. And if you can't, email us, go to our website, McMinnvillebusiness.com, and we will get you the contact information.
Before we went on the air, we talked about programs and companies like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb. I promised a listener who called today that we would ask you this question. His question was this: in your 1,500 jobs in 15 years, were you including in that prediction or estimate, if you will, companies like Uber, Lyft, and Airbnb? Airbnb, if you're not aware of it, is people that rent out their rooms at much less than a hotel room, and you can go to like a Seattle. His example was this. He went to Seattle, and for $25 a night, stayed 3 nights, $75 in Seattle for 3 nights, which is cheaper than 1 night in Seattle at a regular motel. So we're seeing things like that happen.
Right, so here's a commercial for Airbnb. I
Sure.
love it. It's fabulous. I mean, have you ever stayed in an Airbnb?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so it allows you.
Okay,
Yeah,
two good experiences.
What it does is it allows you as a consumer to choose your price point, and you're vetted by the owner of the building or the room or the apartment or the house, whatever you're renting. So it's interesting because successful businesses aren't brick and mortar. Lyft, Uber, Airbnb, they're not a store that you go into, but rather these are cloud-based businesses. And they're interesting. So I think the question was, are those kinds of jobs and opportunities included in our 1,500?
Correct.
No.
Okay.
So if those happen on top of the 1,500, that's fantastic.
It adds to your number.
Oh, every job is great. Every job is good because it means somebody has the opportunity to live their life, start their career, go on a journey. But the 1,500 that we're talking about are the jobs that are family wage, living wage jobs. They're not entry level. They're the next step up and beyond. They're allowing people to not be so constricted by income. They're allowing people to buy cars, buy homes, take a vacation, have the ability to provide for their children the extracurriculars. So family wage jobs, living wage jobs allow people to have some comfort in their lives. And those are the types of jobs that we're focusing on. But once again, every job is great. Every job is great because you learn something and you become better as a person, and when you're working, you have the ability to grow. So every job is good.
Hardball warning here. Here's a tough question coming up.
I'm going to give this to Lisa.
Oh,
Okay. So one of the trends that we're seeing a move towards more online commerce, more online retail shopping. We're seeing, for example, Amazon replacing Walmart as, I may be incorrect in this, but this is what I heard the other day, was a bigger company than Walmart, Amazon. And so we're seeing, and I talked to somebody on the street the other day, and they like shopping online because they can just go online, shop, ship it to their home, and they never have to go out and shop. Are we seeing the Main Street brick and mortar being replaced by online shopping? What do you think?
Okay, well, that is a hardball question.
It's kind of a subjective question.
So I'm a shopper.
Sure.
And I like relationships, and I like experiencing, knowing someone and hearing the story of a product. So the wine industry thrives by tasting room. Mm-hmm. And a tasting room is experiencing the wine in the winemaker's vision of what they want you to see and hear and taste and smell. So they're very thoughtful. They're almost like the living room of the winemaker. That would be hard to do online. So the corner bookstore, 3rd Street Books, there's such a personal experience when you go into that store. And their employees have hand-picked books. So every Christmas I go in and I buy books recommended by staff because I feel like somebody helped me pick it out, and there's some confidence there. So I think people will still crave authentic experiences on Main Street, but I think stores like Staples and Walmart are going to have to think differently about how they do business. And it may become more online. There may be things that are, you can buy groceries and have them delivered to your house. So when you think about that, what is Walmart going to offer someone who's going to drive up, get out of their car, get in there? There's going to have to be some thought put around that process. So do I think large boxes are going away? I still think people like to consume large things that they may not want to ship. I also think that shopping is an event. It's an activity. We're getting together, we're getting in the car, and we're spending the day doing this thing. So I hazard to think that they're going to completely go away. But what I think they're going to do is transform into places where there's experiences. So I'll give you an example. I don't know if this is quite right, but I think this is very interesting. You can go to Powell's bookstore and order a book to be printed there while you're standing there.
Okay.
It can print a book for you. Now, there's something very experiential about that. I can go online and buy a book from Powell's, but it's kind of cool to think that you can go up and order a book and watch it being printed. So they're giving you the experience of buying a book in a very different way. So it might be a little philosophical or a little, like what's she thinking? She's out there. But I've been in sales most of my life, and I know that people want to connect to the reason that they're paying money for something. They want to know the story behind it. They want to say, oh, when I went to this bookstore, the owner came up to me and I told her about you, and she said this book would be perfect for you. I'm willing to pay $35 for that story.
Okay. So let's say we're talking to Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith that own a shoe store.
Okay.
This is totally hypothetical.
Uh-oh.
In McMinnville.
Okay.
And they're concerned about, they've been shopped, people can sometimes, and I've run into this early in the local Yamhill County area, where people will go into a shop, they'll touch and feel, look at what they want, put it back, go home and order it online.
That's tough.
That happens. And what advice would we give to Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith in McMinnville that own this hypothetical shoe store to somehow convince the consumer that this is ground zero, this is the place where you want to buy your shoe?
Ooh, do you have an answer for that?
I have a person.
I'm making you think.
Okay, I'm going to let her.
So, as far as that goes with me, the reason, give me the reason I need to buy it there, and that could be just you as a person. I like you as a person, and I want to support you, and I want to support the business. I do most of my shopping on Main Street, McMinnville, because I just love it there, and I love this community, and I want to support the stores that are in the community. And so just going to those stores makes me feel like I'm a part of McMinnville. And also the stores with the shop local symbols on them. I feel like I'm supporting something that I also support when I purchase from those stores and when I pay money and help them continue as a business. So
there's sort of a personal response to that. Yeah.
Okay. Last few minutes of the show, we've been on here almost an hour talking about McMinnville Economic Development Partnership. I guess I will pay a compliment to you, is that there are people in neighboring cities that are looking at MEDP as a model and trying to build what you have here. What's your response to that?
Oh.
And I'm not saying that to
Well,
but it's true.
Thank you. I think that we have an extraordinary board of directors that has supported this organization. A team that, so skilled. Lacey is amazing at what she does, and really, so it's who you are as a person that you do this, creates things that I'm just stunned at, and Heather has a professional event background, and so everything we do is just exquisite. That's probably not the right word, but it's professional. It's all. At one point, I even said to the staff, I said, it almost looks too good. They're going to wonder how much this is costing, but we're very conscious of what that. But I love this county, and I am honored that people around the county would, pay us that compliment. I had the opportunity a few years ago to work countywide under a limited contract, and this is such a special place. And every city has its own personality and its own unique assets. And our door is open. We talk. I talk regularly with Frank in Sheridan when he has a question or he just wants to tell me a good story. The Forest River one was an example. Their story's our story. So every town in this community is part of Yamhill County's story. In McMinnville, we're one city of 10, and we're all sharing in this great the opportunity to grow and thrive. So that's very sweet.
What advice would you have for those cities that may be wanting to have some success stories of their own, and maybe they're a small city that is not growing as much as they want to, and they're grasping at straws, or they're trying to figure out, what the magic formula is? What would you tell them?
Well, one, there's no magic formula.
Okay.
So I would suggest, and I think most cities have either a civic organization or a chamber or a group of people that gather weekly to have coffee. And that's where you start. You start with a group of people that care about your community. They care about opportunity. They're concerned about issues. And you come together and start to talk about what could we do in the next few months, or what idea should we tackle. So you don't have to have big, massive, high strategic plan that has multiple layers to it. It's really about deciding what's important and what can make an impact. And I always believe in short, mid, and long-term goals. So even for a group that meets on a weekly or even a monthly basis, if you can establish some short-term goals, goals that can be achieved within the next 6 months, midterm goals, that's going to take 12 to 18 months, and then long-term goals, oh, if we had all the money in the world. And just start to move the ball. Success breeds success. So they painted the bridge in Sheridan. People thought differently about Main Street, right? Mm-hmm. They have a festival in Amity. People think differently about their community because everybody's talking about, oh my goodness, look at all the great things that are happening. Every community has a great county or community festival. Old-fashioned days, Sheridan days, daffodil days. I mean, those are great ways to celebrate the positive things in your community. I also think communicating that. So having some sort of a newsletter, having some way to communicate. I mean, one of the things that Lacey has done for us is really elevated social media. It's a free platform to have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. These are free tools that can reach a lot of people. And a quick Google search, you can come up with some basic tools to make sure that you have a higher impact. But if you don't talk about your success in your community, if you don't tell people the things that are working, then no one's going to know your story. No one's going to know what you have to offer. No one's going to know who to connect to. So talk about and start to generate the buzz. And do it with those already collected groups together. There are really fantastic people in this county. We get to work with them and be on committees with them. They're passionate, engaged, committed people. And I just say, just pick something and start working on it.
Jody Christensen and Lacey Digraph of McMinnville Economic Development Partnership. Again, your phone number, or I'm sorry, your website.
Oh, yes, McMinnvillebusiness.com. Yeah, I forgot where we were. McMinnvillebusiness.com. And then also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And LinkedIn.
Oh, and LinkedIn.
And you'll be able to see this interview again by going to our website, KLYC.us, and our Facebook page, KLYC Radio and KLYC Video. And we have a number of programs. By the way, we... a little bit of an announcement today. Okay. As far we were out visiting with Falls Event Center, and we are going to be starting a program. We were looking for a home to do this. Falls Event Center is hungry for new venues, new things, new events at their facility. It's going to be called the Homegrown Music Series, and we're looking for local talent. You have to be able to sing or play an instrument. And this isn't the Gong Show. This is not America's Got Talent. You've got to be able to hold our attention, entertain us for 30 to 60 minutes. If you do, send me an audition tape. Email it, dave@klYC.us. And the Falls Event Center wants to do this on a fairly regular basis. And we already are talking to an artist that we want to have out there. So we will be doing some things at the Falls Event Center as far as a music event. And there's also a large-scale music event that we're kind of planning on a regular basis out there. But first we're going to start with the Homegrown Music Series and look for local talented musicians. If you can sing, if you can play an instrument, if your friends, ask your friends, okay, they'll tell you, are you good? All right? If you are, I want to hear a tape from you. Send it to dave@klYC.us. And I'm not trying to poke fun at you, but I don't want to have to tell you no. So ask your friends if you're good, and if you are, let's hear what you have to perform. And remember, this is a family show, and so we'll see if we can put you on stage. All right, AM 1260 KLYC. Another show that we're going to be working on in the future is the Yamhilis West Sider Trail. We're getting a lot of requests from people that want us to air this issue and talk about the pros and the cons and whether or not this should happen. We are looking for topics for KLYC Town Hall. We want to talk about issues affecting Yamhill County, affecting various cities in the county, and sometimes we'll have some, I guess we'll use the word heated conversation. Sometimes we'll have some conversations on the town hall, and we do have an 8-second delay, so we can push the button and keep you off the air if you do happen to get very excited about your comments. But we do want to talk about these issues. We're required by the FCC to air programming that answers the needs of our audience. And also we want to do that just because we want to serve you as best as we can as a broadcast facility, and also we're getting much more into the internet as well. More about that in the future. Thank you, Jody and Lacey, for being with us on KLYC Town Hall this evening. 6:56 the time, it's 53 degrees, and glad that you were with us tonight. Let's get back to programming. Hang on just a second.